All right, guys, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. This is the hoodie we're going to make. So here we've got two windows. On the left, you see the avatar, and on the right, that's where our patterns go. Let's load the patterns into the right window. You've got these too. Click on Display, then select Add Background Image. Click on the folder icon and select the pattern. Now, we just want to check if the scale looks right. Just move the image closer to the avatar's body. You can always adjust the size later. Everything fits perfectly, so go ahead and hit OK. Now we can easily build our patterns. Click here. Make sure you have polygon selected. That's what we need. It lets you draw any shape manually. Start clicking with your left mouse button to trace it out. For now, don't worry about the curved parts. I'll show you how to do those next. Now we've got a solid piece of fabric. Click on it. Then in the property editor, find opacity and bring it down so we can see the outline of our patterns underneath. Now click Edit Curvature or just press C on your keyboard. Then adjust the lines to match the curved outline. Just click, hold, and drag in the direction you need. Next, switch back to polygon and draw the next piece. Then hit C again and curve the lines to match the outline. Now let's do the hood. Here you'll want to place more points so you can get the shape right. This is the kind of frame we've got. Now same process. Select Edit Curvature or press C on your keyboard. Go ahead and carefully curve all the lines. The hood's done. All that's left are the sleeves. Select Polygon. Place a point right in the middle here. It'll help you get a cleaner, more accurate shape. Honestly, that's pretty much all you need to know for building patterns. Polygon, curving the lines, and there's one more thing I'll show you as we go. Now let's clean things up and get rid of those extra points so they don't get in the way. Just right-click on a point and select Convert to Curve Point. All right, all the patterns are ready. Now we can delete the image. Go back to Display, then choose Format 2D Background and hit Reset. That's it. This is our foundation to start working from. Now take the front piece of the hoodie and select Symmetric Pattern with Sewing. This creates a mirrored pattern linked to the original piece. So now when you click one side, both sides get selected and any changes apply to both at the same time. And let's bring the opacity back to 100% so we can clearly see our garment pieces. Now switch to this fabric display mode. It lets you see both the front side and the inside of the fabric. We need to flip the back piece, so click on it and choose Flip Normal. Now it's facing the right way, with the inside facing in. Now let's add the second half to each piece. Select a pattern and click Symmetric Pattern with Sewing. Now, let's jump straight into sewing. Select the sewing tool with the straight line. Then, just connect the pieces logically. It's really important that your seams are straight and not twisted. If you mess that up, the garment will sew incorrectly and you won't get a proper result. And we forgot one thing. Right-click this line on the back piece and select Merge. Now, it's one solid piece of fabric since we don't need that seam down the middle of the back. Click on the avatar icon and select the second option here. Now, you'll see attachment points on the avatar where you can snap your pieces. You'll notice the garment kind of wraps onto the avatar. This makes it way easier to position and sew everything together later. Let's keep sewing. Select the straight line sewing tool again and connect these pieces. As for the hood, select it and hit freeze. We'll add it later after we've sewn everything else together. Now I'll show you how the curved sewing tool works. Here, you manually choose the area you want to sew. Let's attach the sleeves. Select the front piece of the hoodie from bottom to top, then do the same on the front side of the sleeve. Notice how the seam comes out nice and clean. Again, this is the key thing to remember when sewing. Sew the bottom part of the sleeve together, then attach the back of the sleeve to the back piece. When using this tool, keep this in mind. If you select one piece from top to bottom, you need to select the other piece in the same direction too. To start the simulation, press space or click the play icon in the top left. Let's check what we've got so far. Everything looks good. Same principle as with the sleeves. Now let's sew the hood. Select the entire right side of the hood, then draw the seam from the middle of the front to the middle of the back. And since we used symmetric pattern with sewing, the other side gets sewn automatically. Now sew the top part of the hood, then right-click these pieces and hit Unfreeze. Press space to run the simulation, and now you can see the assembled garment. Nice. We've got a solid base to keep building on. Let's slightly shorten the sleeves. Select the bottom edge and just drag it up. All right, I think that's good for now. We'll keep tweaking the model as we go. All right, let's turn off the inside fabric view. Now we need to add a few guidelines so we can build this bottom rib later. For that, select Internal Polygon. For now, just eyeball it. We can easily adjust the size later. Draw the line and double-click at the end to finish it. Now we need to cut this. Select Edit Pattern or press Z on your keyboard. Right-click the line you want to cut and choose Cut and Sew. Basically, we've just separated a piece of fabric and sewn it right back in. Let's fine-tune the length of the rib a bit. Now let's move on to the pockets. Same principle here. Select Internal Polygon and sketch out the pocket shapes. Now let's adjust the size and shape of the pockets. You do all of that with Edit Pattern. Hold Shift and select these three lines with your left mouse button, then right-click and choose Cut and Sew. Now, still holding Shift, select these two pieces, right-click and choose Layer Clone over. This creates an extra layer of fabric on top of the original shape. These pieces are sewn together, but we want open pockets. So go ahead and delete all the seams by selecting them one by one, then sew everything back together, except for these side edges. Now let's move on to the zipper. We need this tool here. Then, one side at a time, draw a line from top to bottom, double-click at the end, and you've got your zipper. Now let's add some stitching for realism. This part really matters. Click on the line and choose Offset as Internal Line. Set it to Individual and create 2 lines. Match the spacing like I have here. And do the same for the rest of the areas. The settings are saved, so just repeat the process all the way through. Now we need to add a trim to the hood. The settings will be a bit different here. Right-click on the line you need, and this time set the offset to 20 millimeters. Don't forget to save your project. Let's refine the side of the pockets. We'll use the same Offset as Internal Line tool. Here, add 2 lines. Now, let's add the stitching. Segment top stitch is what we need here. Just go over all the lines we added and click along them with your left mouse button. After that, we'll tweak the look of the stitches. In the property editor, there are a lot of settings, but I'll show you the ones that actually matter. That'll be more than enough. First is the offset from the line. I usually keep it at the default. Next, I want 2 stitches per line. Here's where you set the thread thickness. I go with 70. And this 2 here controls the second thread. Set the same thickness for it as well. Now let's work on this part along the zipper. We'll use the same Offset as Internal Line tool and set it to just 1 line. Then go ahead and add the stitching right away. We're using the same thread, so all the settings are already saved. We'll pick the color later. Now let's try to match the zipper to this reference as closely as possible. Click on the zipper, then check the property editor. First thing I do is set the material. I always go with metal, then pick a color. Choose whatever fits best, using your reference as a guide. Next up is tape. Here, we only really need to adjust the color. Now for the puller, here you've got a few options. Feel free to try them out and see what looks best. You can also scale it up or down. I set the material to metal as well and use the same color as the zipper. You can just copy the color code over. Alright guys, we've actually done a ton of work here. In the next video, we'll move on to textures, and we're almost there.